Good evening, everybody. Dr. Navhya here again today. I am going to be touching upon a very sensitive topic of erectile dysfunction today in my series of sexual wellness. Men have been achieving erections from puberty, and I'm not so sure if you ever paused to ask yourself, how do you actually achieve an erection? I'll just briefly explain the process to you. What happens is you get stimulated either physically or mentally, and your brain sends the signal to the sexual hormones telling them that they need to open up all the arteries that supply blood to your penis. The arteries open up completely to allow as much blood as possible to reach your penis. Now, your penis has these chambers which are spongy, which can collect a lot of blood and use that to achieve an erection. So the volume and the speed with which this blood enters your penis through arteries is much higher than the speed at which it's trying to leave through the veins. So it gets trapped, it engorges those chambers, and you achieve an erection, and that is how you maintain it. So it's this chain reaction of stimulation, brain sending signals, sex hormones getting into play, arteries getting the message that they have to open up completely and blood has to rush to the penis for the act. Is what each step is needed for you to achieve an erection and then also to maintain it. Now, what happens in erectile dysfunction? It is either the inability to achieve an erection or to maintain it, or losing it very quickly, is the term that we use medically, which is called erectile dysfunction. Impotence was also used, but sensible doctors and modern medical fraternity has kind of done away with that word now. Surprisingly and sadly, there's a huge number of men that suffer from erectile dysfunction. And in India alone, just to see if the men were even aware of ED, Pfizer did a study where it interviewed Indian men, and shockingly, only 50% of them were even aware of erectile dysfunction. Forget knowing how to get it treated and who to go to. And obviously, because their erectile dysfunction was impacting their partners, 78% of women in India were aware about erectile dysfunction. So yes, the awareness is much less. It's still a taboo. I'm trying my best to request you to start looking at sexual wellness as any other part of your body, as an integral part of being happy and healthy, and not just either as taboo or as sleaze. Now, today I'm focusing on smoking, how smoking impacts erectile dysfunction. But broadly, the reasons for erectile dysfunction are: one, the neurological disorder, where the signal itself is not going from the penis to the brain and the brain to the penis. So, neurological disorders. Second is something wrong with the arteries that have to take all that blood. So, whether it's heart disease, blood pressure, diabetes, smoking, high cholesterol, all of that, because all of that impact your arteries. Then obviously the erectile tissue itself is damaged, sadly, for people who have suffered from prostate cancers, bladder cancers, and have had to go through radiation. So these are the broad categories. I'm not getting into the details of those today, because today I'm going to be focusing on smoking. But anything going wrong with any of these, the chain reaction that I talked about will result in erectile dysfunction. Now, how does smoking particularly impact this? So, smoking essentially damages the walls of the arteries, the inner lining of the arteries. The nicotine and all the other chemicals, they damage the arterial walls, the inner lumen sort of, and obviously that impacts the blood flow going to the penis. So no blood flow or less blood flow, or damaged arteries unable to take that much of volume, which will trap the blood there and engorge the organ and not let it seep back into the veins. That's what happens with smoking. Smoking kills. It's still the number one killer in the world. It obviously gives us cancer, lung disease. It impacts almost our entire body, but I will discuss all that some other day. Today, how it impacts your orgasms and your erection is what I'm talking about, and I'm hoping and praying that that is motivation enough for you to quit smoking. So Smoking damages the walls of your arteries. Blood is not able to go to the penis, and you're not able to either achieve erections in the either you're not able to sustain erections in the starting phases and then completely not achieve it, where you have a full-blown erectile dysfunction. Now, how does the same smoking impact women and their sexual activity? Again, in the women, it's the same chain reaction that works. Brain signals the artery, the hormones, and the hormones make the arteries open up and let the blood flow to the vagina, to the clitoris, and to the labia, which increases arousal, increases the ability of sensation, increases the ability of excitement in a woman. When that gets damaged, nicotine and other chemicals damage their arteries, and again, blood flow is impeded, and lack of arousal, lack of sensation, and lack of excitement happens in a woman too. Sadly, in women, fertility gets impacted with smoking. So if you're trying to conceive, definitely ovulation failure rates are very high in smokers. Also, one more alarming thing, that it can result in early menopause. So if you are biologically, about to menopause, say around 55, 58, heavy smoking women can start to menopause much earlier. And those women who are trying to conceive through in vitro fertilizations, failure rates are very high in women who smoke. Same thing, lack of arousal, excitement in women, fertility issues, early menopause, things that are very alarming, and I think these are all motivating enough for you to quit. Now, is ED treatable? Early stages of erectile dysfunction is treatable. Severe cases requires severe, more difficult treatments. It's always better to catch it early and try to reverse it. The good news is, the moment you quit smoking, it is possible to improve your erectile dysfunction situation. So there's no reason to say, oh, it's okay, it's been 10 years, it's been 20 years. Now, younger men may be thinking, I'm fine, it's not impacting me, it's not going to impact me. Well, sorry. There was a study done by the Department of Urology in 2017 in New Orleans, where it was found out that more than 30% of men under the age of 40, I'm going to repeat that, more than 30% of men under the age of 40 suffer from erectile dysfunction. And if younger men are found to suffer from erectile dysfunction, more likely than not, the reason is smoking. I'm going to repeat this. So, more than 30% of young men lesser than the age of 40 suffer from erectile dysfunction. And if it's found out that it's a younger man that's suffering from erectile dysfunction, more often than not, smoking is very likely the reason. So all you young men out there, please sit up and take notice. To have a long, satisfying sexual life, you need to quit smoking. It's just going to run havoc with your sexual life eventually. If not today, then tomorrow. Now, how do you quit smoking? I completely understand it's very, very difficult to quit smoking. It's one of those addictions which has still got the highest failure rates of people who are trying to quit. But it's not impossible. I'm just going to touch upon some small things that you can do. One being, you can write down a motivation to quit. So, do you have these, pretty children, your younger children that you want to live long for, and you want to quit smoking for? Fatherhood is a very, very good reason. Or motherhood. Two, if you're trying to conceive, obviously that's a very, very big motivation. Three, write down triggers. So write down your motivation, then write down triggers. Do you reach out for a cigarette every time you have a little argument with your spouse? Do you reach out for a cigarette every time your boss is setting up a meeting? Are you smoking every time you have to go meet somebody because it's going to be stressful, the interaction? Are you parked down below in your house and smoking before going up because there's an argument waiting? So write down your triggers. That helps. And then obviously try and work a way around your triggers. It's always good to avoid your triggers, but certain triggers we can't avoid, like your wife or your husband. You'll have to talk to them about it and tell them that, look, I need your support. When you do this, I tend to smoke. You also want me to quit smoking. So we can work as a team. We can avoid these situations which ultimately force me to go reach out for a cigarette. So write down your motivation, write down your triggers, talk to your triggering situations or whichever ones you can discuss with, and then seek support. Seek support of family and friends. Like I just said now, talk to people about it, that I am wanting to quit, and I'm serious about it. I want to really give it my best shot. Support me. There's no shame in seeking support. There is no shame in seeking better sexual health. There is no shame in seeking a better connection. There is no shame in living till 100 and being healthy while you do it. So seek support from your friends and family. Then of course go to a medical setup and medical doctor. Nicotine patches, chewing gums, all the jing bang that's available for you for to help you quit smoking. You can talk to your doctors and they will help you with it. And then of course be prepared, be mentally prepared for a failure, be mentally prepared for cravings and bad moods and irritation and all of that. That's part of the package. Don't just give up just because you failed the first attempt or the second attempt. Keep at it. And this, similarly with erectile dysfunction, now this is something that the couple really needs to talk about. Believe me, the number one reason for divorce is sexual incompatibility, sexual frustration, which doesn't get talked about openly. That anger and frustration keeps coming out in different ways. Remember, I talked about gangrene. Frustration leads to gangrene like nothing else, and believe me, sexual frustration leads to gangrene like nothing else. So talk to your partner about it. I'm requesting the partners, do not nag your partner about this. They don't need your sympathy, they need your support. Understand the difference between sympathy and support. Find other ways to make your partner loved and connected, so that they don't feel like it's them, it's happening because of them. Experiment with new things and seek treatment. Erectile dysfunction is a disease, yes. There are many other reasons. I'm just focusing on smoking today. Psychological issues are there. Stress plays a role. Your equation with your partner plays a role. The environment plays a role. The timing plays a role. Your communication, your hidden, your sense of resentment from your partner plays a role. If you've gained weight, that plays a role. There's a lot of things that play a role in not achieving erections, but I'm talking about when you actually truly need to go to a doctor and seek treatment. So please seek treatment so that it can start early before it becomes really bad, because before it's full blown. And do not seek medical treatment on your own. I do know Viagra is available very easily. I do know Cialis is available very easily, but don't start it on your start it yourself. One, it has side effects. Two, it interacts with other drugs. Three, if you already are on BP medication, diabetes medication, it's very complicated. But most importantly, because you want a doctor to help you, you keep taking Viagra, but you're not treating your diabetes, you will fail. You keep taking Viagra, don't quit smoking, you will fail. And ultimately, there's only that many drugs available till date. It's not like 50 drugs हैं कि एक नहीं चला तो दूसरा नहीं चला तो. No, it's not like that. The other treatments are more frustrating, more painful, less effective. So you better try your best to not go to the serious treatments like vacuum pumps and implants and things like that. So I hope I have been able to bring certain light over the subject. I know it's a sensitive one, but it's my earnest try to start bringing to your notice one of the most important components of that, what keeps you happy, sex and sexual wellness. The emotional aspects of it I will touch upon as Noma, but the medical aspects of it I'm touching upon as Dr. Navhya. Also, to all my friends in the medical fraternity, yes, I'm not using a lot of technical medical terms and not giving them names of the cavernous, not giving them names of those arteries. They don't need to know. These are people who must understand how they get an erection, who must understand that they need to also take care of their arteries, not just their heart. They need to also understand that cholesterol हर artery में होता है, खाली heart के artery में नहीं होता है. No, ultimately it will get deposited everywhere. It will impact your erection ultimately, because it's that artery that's taking the blood from your heart to the erection, to the penis also. So these videos are just from my heart to my audience's heart, just to bring a little awareness, just to talk to them and first of all make them comfortable and trust me that I'm very serious about helping you guys here. And thank you so much for all the love and affection that I have gotten in just 2 days. Believe me, I'm touched. I was scared by people that, Indian audiences are not ready for this. But you have trumped everybody. Thank you.